Okay, let's get real. Let's figure out how you actually succeed with a $1 billion idea. So I had $1 billion ideas, and I also started companies that had the potential to be $1 billion companies. And I can tell you, like, having the idea is kind of like the easy part. Like, I had this funny story where I was at a barbecue event, and there was I don't know, some guy. And he came to me and he said, yeah, like, I wish I would have these $1 billion ideas so that I get kind of like can get rich. And I just need the perfect idea and then that's it. But the truth is that having the idea is actually pretty hard. It's pretty easy, but actually implementing the idea is very hard. So I said to him as well, like, no problem. I have a bunch of ideas laying around. Just you can have one. Try to implement it. Yeah, I never did it. But yeah, that's really the easy part. So um, so let's not talk about like what kind of idea you might have or what it is that you want to do or how you can figure out ideas. So there are many ways to do this, but actually let's focus on some parts that are very important. First of all, and this is just like honest truth when people are doing startups. So I will give you anyway a way how you can get there, but usually having a successful, very big business worth billions when you're doing your first business is usually not going to happen. At least imagine that, like, if you think about these super like overnight success, like Facebook or something back then, it was still like not the first things that Zuckerberg actually built, and it were then still not the like it took still like a very long time to actually really scale up. Even if it was very rapidly, it still took a lot of time until it got really big. So the good thing at the end is, like, even if it's not your first thing that maybe will succeed, don't get discouraged because some businesses might be failing or you are doing something wrong. You can always kind of like when you do the next company, it will be easier and better to actually succeed. And yeah, but it's just like the truth. Like if you are doing your first business, it will be kind of like it's very hard to get like a lot of investment. You need to understand a lot how to build a product, how to go out to the market, and like so many things. So really, if this is your first business and you just have this idea, yeah, I want to create this kind of app or something. As I said, there will be a way that I will tell you now, like in a second, where like how you can actually get there still, but it will be just like much harder. So it's a much better approach to just like think about some ideas that are maybe a little bit smaller, that are very focused on a specific problem or specific needs, and then just like get your experience with these kind of things. Maybe scale it to 1 million or like 10 million or whatever, and sell that company, and then actually do something that is much more difficult, right? And I'm pretty sure you know that guy Elon Musk, and he also got a lot of money from his first company that he sold, and then he actually started to build like really big things on his own, right? So anyhow, it's kind of a good idea to just like start with something that is a little bit more focused and a little bit more niche. And the way how you can still succeed if it's your first company that you want to do and it's the first product that you want to do, you need to understand a couple of fundamentals. And I really want to point this out because I hear a lot about that stuff that is like on the internet where people are talking about when you really want to do a product and like a successful startup, you really need to start with an MVP, like a minimal value proposition product, right? And that is true, actually. Yeah, it's pretty much true. But if you are like me, when I started my first company, I had no clue what that actually means. Because if you have like a very big idea that you want to do, having a minimal product can be still very big if you're doing it the wrong way. So today we want to talk a little bit about what does it really mean to actually have an MVP to help you get into the market much faster, much easier, and without investing a lot of money right from the beginning, from you, from your family, and so on. Do that on the scale. It will be anyway much easier to convince investors if you are on scale than just like convincing them from the ground up. So what I understood, and I like kind of like phrased this for you, like what I understood when I first heard, yeah, you have to build an MVP. For me, an MVP was basically the end product that I wanted to have in my mind, but just like in a very small version with the most important features, and that is also not very scalable, but still works. So that was the understanding of MVP for me when I was actually firstly starting out my first IT like startup. And I have to tell you, there are many things wrong here that you might not see with the eyes. It's still kind of correct, but there's like way more around this that is actually very important when you build your first IT startup or any IT startup. And it is actually understanding what you really need to focus on and what is really important. So first of all, this is really first of all because it will define everything else. Even if you want to be a very big product that is made for every single person in the world, what usually is nothing that will ever happen, but even if you want to. And once again, not to discourage you, it's just like that the biggest companies in the world, even Apple, not everybody in the world is using Apple. A lot of people are using it, but still not everybody. So just keep that in mind. So is that you really need to focus on a specific group in the beginning. So it doesn't matter like how much you want to go later on, and you don't limit yourself if you go for a specific group in the beginning, but it's something that you have to do. You have to figure out what focus group you want to serve with that product firstly, and it needs to be very specific. So it can be like you can really create a persona around this, but also like, is it for business, is it for private? If it's for business, what kind of businesses are using this? So will this be something from real estate? But even if you then say, okay, this is something from real estate, then define what area of real estate it might be and focus on that one. And then, in addition, I want you to think about for what type of business sizes is actually this product made for? Is this for startups? Is this for like, I don't know, small, medium businesses? Is this for small businesses? Is this for large enterprise businesses? Like, what type of company or like persona you really want to serve? Because this is very important, because everything else that comes afterwards, you need to make it in a fit for these people and actually fill their needs, because otherwise it will not work. So, and this is really what is like, this is basically already the biggest part. Like, if you get this part right in the beginning and you are not falling into the trap that you think, okay, you want to scale so big, you need to make it for everybody. But if you all like get this done in the right way, actually from the beginning, you are pretty good. So the next step would be obviously defining in the like specific product that you want to do, and doesn't matter like whatever product it would be, you need to define what features are actually needed to like complete their needs, or like you like kind of like resolve their problem that they want to resolve with your software or with your product or whatever it is that you are currently doing. And that are the only ones that you can build in the beginning. But it will be so much easier if you really define on what specific people will actually use it later. It will be much easier to define this now. So, and then from usability part, you also only need to focus on the problems that these people might have. So let's say you have a like platform that has something to do with e-commerce, for example. It's way different if you want to build this for people that actually just starting out and want to start their first online store, or if you are building it for somebody that already has like is selling a couple of products online, or if you are selling this to an enterprise company, you have to fulfill a lot of like they have very different needs. Like for example, the just starting out person, they would need the ability to just create a store with your app or just like a catalog and create it from scratch, and they would have a couple of needs here, where like medium-sized one, they would most probably like to be able to create some products there, but also sync the storage and everything with their existing system. But then you have enterprise systems, they don't want to make any catalog on your e-commerce solution. They just want to plug in into their existing systems in a safe way that is secure and works and is solid. So very different. So also when you are solving problems and optimizing features, it's very important to define what you actually want to like serve in the beginning, and then only focus on these things. And the last part I would say, and I will leave you with this right now, is really as well that focus also not on like focus on getting people using your tool, and for them it can like look at it as it would be like all automatically or whatever, but they should start using it, and you can do a lot of stuff manually at first, like making some calculations, creating reports, whatever. You can do a lot of stuff manually, creating invoices or so, and only if somebody really uses a feature and really wants more of it or gives you feedback, you should then start to really automate the processes in the backend in a way that is really scalable. Because in the beginning it can be a lot of like click and drag and figuring out what you need to do or going hard coded in the backend. So you can do a lot of stuff manually at first, and only if somebody uses really the features that you have, then you can scale. And this really opens up a lot of opportunities for you, because you can start with something very small for a very specific group, focus on only the most important things, and then even like just give them the like a very small version, the MVP, that is then actually still a lot of manual work done, and then you can learn, get feedback, and grow with your real customers and already earning money. What brings you in the best kind of position that you can have. So these are really the learnings that I learned when I did a company and I raised 2 million euro and kind of like wasted a lot of that money because I did a lot of the like I never knew things that I just said. When I was starting out, I had a very different understanding on what is an MVP. So I hope that helps you a little bit, understanding what really an MVP in the scenario when you are doing an IT startup really means, um, in a way that will actually help you succeeding much faster and get to greater results. Thank you very much.